Well, as you probably guessed from the title, this is all about a kid who daydreams.
Oh, sorry. I was just daydreaming about playing a better fucking game.
Then you get a sword, but of course it's a dream, so when he wakes up, it's a ruler he's holding. Finally, when you kill her, you grab her head off the ground. You know what would be really awesome? If Davey woke up here and had the teacher's decapitated head in his hands. Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about this. Why is Darth Vader turn into a fucking scorpion?
Game over. Is that Darth Vader breathing? Or is that the sounds of the ocean? What, does Luke just crash his way in? Why do all these bosses have such long life bars?
Come on, bring me a beer. Yeah, it's my beer droid. Hey, alright. Okay. Yeah, alright, come on. Come on, Rob, you come over and all you want to play are the same two games.
Must be Gyromite or Stack Up.
Well, right here, I got a box of games based on movies by Steven Spielberg. We're gonna need a bigger ass to shit out this fucking turd.
Get the fuck out of the way, Tinkerbell! Is that supposed to be Robin Williams? When it comes to Jurassic Park games, they're far from extinct. Jurassic Park on 3DO is a complete mockery, man. Does it suck? You bet Jurassic sucks. In the words of Ian Malcolm, that is one big pile of shit. And it's probably the strangest cover in my whole collection. E.T. Go Come? What the hell does it mean by E.T. Go Come?
So this is the point of no return. I'll get out my laptop or a notepad and I'll start writing down notes. Like I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about the graphics and I'll put that all in its own section. Fucking Barbie, you plastic pink mall shopping bimbo. Fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic mall shopping ball brain fish flopping ball. Well, use whatever works for you, but what I use is Final Cut Pro. That's what I've been using for the past 6 years or so. Before that, I've used Adobe Premiere, I've used Avid, but then I went Mac and never went back. Kid Cool is a game that's so bad you wouldn't even want to wipe your ass on it. Your worst fucking enemies don't deserve to play this accursed foul piece of garbage. Satan doesn't even have any games in hell that are as wretched as this putrid shitload of fuck. You want to see for yourself? Let's go. Nintendo World Championships was never sold in stores. It was a specially made game cartridge used as part of a gaming competition. Only 90 of them were made. But there was another version made in gold. The gold cartridges are even more rare. Only 26 were made and given out as part of a random prize giveaway in Nintendo Power magazine, and is considered the holy grail amongst NES collectors.
Oh yeah, great. We got Spot here. Oh, Hook R. And at least it's a decent one. We got Legend of Zelda.
What was that game you just had?
Oh, that was just Legend of Zelda.
Legend of my ass.
No, don't touch it.
I wasn't gonna touch it, I was just pointing at
Don't
it.
point even.
Don't point?
It can't be played. Never.
Can I look at it?
No.
Don't look at it. I play a lot of 8-bit shit, so I'm gonna take a break from all that and just try out a Sega Genesis game. Yeah, moving up to 16 bits. That was a big deal at the time. You remember the commercials, right? Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Well, I have this game here called Dark Castle. Let's see how much this one does.
What the hell is this? A ghost giving a castle a blowjob? Oh, that's neat. Graffiti on the walls, gamers rule, and... What? In the beginning, a game company called Wisdom Tree began producing unlicensed games for the NES. Wisdom Tree said, "Let there be shit." And there was shit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Bible games.
I'm going to talk about what goes into making an AVGN episode. Now, since day one, fans have expressed genuine interest in what goes into making an episode, and many of you have asked perfectly legit questions on my site, cinemassacre.com. I think one of the reasons I held off on doing this for so long is because I kind of just take for granted that there is a lot that goes into making these videos. See, for me, I don't really think about it that much because I've made over 100 episodes and I've become very efficient at it. So to me, it's like the same way I don't think about brushing my teeth. You know, I do it so many times. My background is in filmmaking, so to me, making game reviews is a much simpler process than making movies. So I kind of forgot that, well, there is a lot that goes into making these game reviews, and there's actually so much that I could sit here for like 3 hours and still, you know, there could be more things to talk about that I forgot to mention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the making of a simple episode. Really elaborate episodes like Crazy Castle, Ninja Gaiden, Rob the Robot, those are like a whole other level of production. So, but you can see the making of Crazy Castle on the bonus features on the AVGN Volume 4 DVD. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about the making of a basic nerd episode from start to finish. I'm going to document the whole process. Now, it's not going to be like a full episode. It's going to be like a short sample of an episode. So this is just a demonstration. Let's pick a game. Now, the whole fate of the video, whether it turns out good or not, it all depends on the choice of game. You know, it has to be bad, but it has to have some funny things to say about it and everything. For some reason, the ones that always turn out the best, I think, are the NES games. I don't know why, but it just seems like NES is like my safe zone. Now, there's two kinds of games. There's ones that I remember from my youth, and then there's ones that I just found out about, like the Atari porn games, for example. I didn't know about those when I was a kid. So, I had a hit list, you know. in the beginning, like just a list of all games I wanted to do, but then there'd be new discoveries that would come along all the time. You know, I'd get some requests maybe, and like the requests help steer my decision. You know, like I'll go to a game that I've always wanted to do, like, you know, like Jaws was one, Fester's Quest. You know, I wanted to do that from the beginning, but then I'll find out about a game like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, and it's like, oh wow, that'll make a good one. So when I was doing these like 2 videos a month, like I didn't really have much time to pick a game. I had to, you know, just go to my list and go to the next one that was in line. But you know, it's better when I have more time to just sit around and play some of these games until I can decide which one will make the best video. It also depends a lot how many other video projects I'm working on at the moment and how busy my personal life is. Like the Rob the Robot video, for example, I knew that that video was going to take me a whole month to do. So like for now, for example, let's pick, you know, Barbie. I mean, you know, you look at this and it's like, okay, that's got to be bad, you know, but we don't know till we play it. Let's try. Now, while I'm playing the game, I'm also recording it, because I record everything I play onto a DVD recorder. Every system I have here is connected to the DVD recorder, and then, of course, goes to the TV so I can see it. How do you connect this many systems to one thing? It's a mess. It is not recommended, but what I do, well, a lot of them use coaxial cables, which suck. You can see right over there, they all go into a splitter, which goes into the back of the VCR here. And then for all the ones that use these, you know, RCA composite video cables, they go into these different switchers. We have switcher A, switcher B, and switcher C. Now, it's very hard to keep track of this, so that's why I have a chart, and this helps me keep track. Say, for example, I want to play the CDI. I don't know why I'd ever want to play that again, but it would go to switcher C would be set to 4, VCR would be set to line 2, and the DVD-R would be set to line 1. The AC adapters are an outstanding mess. I do not recommend this. You could risk an electrical hazard, but I've been doing it pretty safely because I have surge protectors. I never turn on more than one system at a time, and when they're not in use, I turn them off. No matter how simple, every video involves the same steps: playing the game, writing the script, shooting the video and recording the voiceover, and editing the video. It's never been any different. You can't just hit record and have it all happen instantaneously. We could try it though. Okay, so Barbie loves reading about mermaids. Okay, she's getting sleepy. So see, I can't think of much to say about this. Okay, so the game starts. Alright, she jumps pretty damn slow. There's a bunch of bees, there's a ball with a fucking tennis racket, there's a little dog. I'm shitting out baseballs. There's Toucan Sam. Can't figure out how to get past the wall. I'm gonna throw a ball to Toucan Sam. Nothing's happening. You see, this game is giving me some possibilities, but I'm not an improv kind of guy, so I can't just run through it like this and spit out creative gold. I gotta go through it and develop it some. So at this point, I'm just trying to decide if I want to use this game or not for the video. And if I don't think it's working out, like, you know, I'll give it like 15 minutes and then I'll turn it off and I'll try something else. If I think, yeah, like this is workable, I can do this, then that's when it goes from casual gaming to making a nerd episode. So this is the point of no return. I'll get out my laptop or a notepad and I'll start writing down notes. What am I writing? Anything I think I might want to use for the video. I come across something in the game and I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to remember that. I write it down. And a lot of times Mike is here and he'll be helping me out write the notes. Sometimes I'll be playing and then he'll be writing the notes, so I don't have to keep pausing and doing double duty. Most of the time it's just me. I'm also writing down the time codes for everything that happens. You can see the time code right on the DVD recorder. It's going to be handy later to be able to find all these parts again, because I might have hours and hours of footage and then I'll just be scanning through to, try to locate this. So writing down the time code and all that, it may seem like a lot of extra work at first, but in the long run, it's going to save a lot of time. Now, of course, as I'm playing the game, I'm recording it, and I'm recording my own authentic experience of playing through it. So when you see me die in the game, I'm really dying. I don't pretend to do it like I used to, like in the Karate Kid video. Like I was deliberately running into enemies and dying on purpose, but I don't do that anymore. Now I make sure that everything I play is authentic. A big question is, how long do I play the game? Well, basically, once I have enough notes and enough material to work with, then the job's done. But I want to feel complete. I don't always have to beat the game, but I want to make sure that I think I found everything in the game that I'm going to want to talk about. And I don't know what that is until I play it. If there's something later in the game, like if I know that there's something at the end that I want to show, sometimes I'll use a password or a code or something, but not very often, because then I'll always regret missing something, down the line. Like in the Ninja Turtle video, I didn't even show the Technodrome, and that was a big part of the game, so I always regretted that later on. So I never want to feel like I'm missing anything. This is all just about playing the game authentic. Like, a lot of people ask, why don't I use emulators? And like I know on emulators, from what I understand, there's like ways to cheat and like skip through the game and stuff, but that's not the point. Like, I need to really play it. And I also just couldn't see myself like hunched over at a keyboard playing. Like, no, playing a game is sitting back on a couch with the controller in my hand. This is it. This is the real deal. Playing the game is the easiest part. Now comes writing the script. This is the most unpredictable phase of the whole production, because it just depends what kind of mood I'm in. I could just stare at a blank screen and I'm just not feeling creative, and like the ideas just aren't coming. So then usually I have to like distance myself from it for a bit, go work on a different project or do something different. And then other times I'm not even trying, and then the ideas will come when I'm not home or if I'm in bed and I can't go to sleep until I write it down. So the writing process just depends what kind of mood I'm in. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm taking all my notes and I'm putting them all into like categories. I'm just organizing everything so that it's not just constant rambling. It actually has some kind of structure. Like, I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about the graphics and I'll put that all in its own section. And then I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about weird enemies and I'll do the same for that. And I'll kind of structure the whole script so it has like a beginning, a middle, and an end. Any research I need to do on the game, like if I want to talk about the history behind it or anything important that you need to know, I do that now. Like if I want to talk about Barbie, where Barbie came from or something, I do that now. Also talking about the control of the game, like how it plays, like, I don't want to go too in depth, because if I describe the game too much, I just start to sound like an instructional manual. I want it to be funny too. But being funny is the hardest part, because it just has to come natural. Like, I can't really force humor, I'm going to just try this out. I mean, what's the meaning behind Barbie dreaming about balls? It's got to be a ball joke. Swearing is an angry nerd tradition. I got to keep that going. But it has exhausted its vocabulary. Words are words. My favorite parts are when the nerd is not speaking, when it's all in the facial expressions. I always considered myself a visual artist and never considered writing my best skill, but I just work at it until I think it's good. A lot of bad habits I have are tongue twisters, sentences that go on too long, unintentional rhyming, unintentional alliteration, words that repeat too often.
Every time you fall down, you have to walk through the entire room all over again. All the enemies come back, so you have to fight everybody all over again.
And whenever I use the same word a lot, like the Ninja Gaiden video, the original script I said impossible like 5 times. So I changed it, and basically I proofread the script, and then if I see a word repeated too often, I use a thesaurus. So I think using a thesaurus is very important. It helps a lot. So once I finish the script, it's time to record the voiceover. Equipment, nothing special. Samson mic, about $50. Pop filter, about $30. And a Alesis mixer, about $100. Voiceover is a required skill. You have to be able to act with your voice and, be able to read it and make it sound natural. I used to have a full-time job doing corporate videos, and a big part of the job was doing voiceovers and directing many different narrators, and lots of people had problems with it. So I saw what all the issues were, and I learned through experience. But still, I'm not perfect. What the hell is going on? And there's fish that flop. And there's fish that flop all over. Oh, this is actually way more difficult than I thought. Fuck! There are rare exceptions when I can't recreate an authentic reaction from the game, like, fuck, shit. It's like sometimes I need to actually see the game and see what's happening. So for some of those parts, I will actually watch my footage while I'm recording it, or play the game and try to record my voiceover as it's happening. So it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes I'll do parts like that and do a little improv. And the next step is the shooting. Notice how I put certain paragraphs in boldface. That's because these sections are intended for on-screen, meaning this is when you see the nerd. So now it's time to shoot the video. Technically, I could have done the voiceover after the shooting. It doesn't really matter what order I do it in. But as you can see, I have plenty of nerd shirts because they get fucked up all the time. Blood stains, shit stains, missing buttons, whatever. As far as lighting goes, I've used all kinds of different things in the nerd videos. Sometimes something as simple as a desk lamp with a piece of paper to soften it, and I've used the Pro Light here on most of them. So whatever you want to use, just try experimenting. I've used all kinds of different lighting setups in the nerd videos and achieved all kinds of different results. Alright, so now we're set up to shoot some nerd. This is a Sennheiser microphone, about $500. This is my camera. I used to use a Panasonic DVX. I just switched to an HVX, which is what this is. Used, it was about $3,000 with batteries and everything. Now let's talk about how the audio works on this camera, because I'm plugging it straight in. I don't have any advanced audio hardware or anything. So what I get on this microphone is a very shallow range. It's always too quiet or too loud. And you could adjust that in the editing, but there's only so much you can do. You want to try to get the audio right the first time when you're recording, because if not, then you're raising the audio levels when it's quiet, and then you get lots of background noise. And then when it's loud and you bring it down, it's still not going to help with distortion. When the audio peaks, it gets all muffled up. So basically, this records on 2 separate tracks, and you can see I have them both adjusted a little differently. So this is where I adjust them. I'll have one set for when the nerd is speaking normally, and then I'll have the other one set for when I'm shouting. And that way, in the editing, I can switch between the 2 tracks as needed. Alright, we're going to adjust this shot here. Sometimes I have friends helping out, but most of the time I'm a one-man crew. Just going to focus this here. Alright, going to close down the iris. Alright, and that should be pretty good. And forgot the pens, almost. Actually, they're Sharpies, but you wouldn't believe how many times I've shot takes and then realized I forgot the pens. Oh yeah, it happens. So right now I'm rehearsing off the script, because unlike the voiceover segments where I'm reading, this time I have to memorize it. I choose not to use a teleprompter or anything like that. In fact, in the old days, I used to tape the script over here or near the TV or wherever it was, and I would just read off of it. So now I don't do that. I still look at the TV like I'm, focused on the TV, and then shift my attention to the audience here and there. But the script, I just memorize it. And if I do forget some of the lines, I'll give myself freedom to improvise here. So if I come up with something new on the spot, I'll allow myself to do that, to just act in the moment. Fucking Barbie, you plastic pink mall shopping, bimbo ball craving, bird riding, ghost fighting, fish flopping, psycho dreaming, harebrained piece of shit. Plastic pink mall shopping, bimbo ball craving, bird riding, ghost fighting. Fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic. Fuck this game. Fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic mall shopping, ball brain, fish flopping, ball. Now I'll get shots of the game cartridge or anything else I need. Now we're up to the editing. Now the editing is a big part. I'm not going to give a whole editing class and teach you how to edit, but lots of people ask, what kind of editing software do I use? Well, use whatever works for you, but what I use is Final Cut Pro. That's what I've been using for the past 6 years or so. Before that, I've used Adobe Premiere, I've used Avid, but then I went Mac and never went back. The first step is editing the voiceover, because the voiceover is the whole skeleton which you build on top of. The voiceover dictates the whole video. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm cutting out all the pauses and all my mistakes. Like, I'm going to get rid of this take here.
Even the craziest psychopaths on earth don't dream this shit.
I'm going to stop it there. And there it's gone. And here's the second.
Even the craziest psychopaths on earth don't dream this shit.
And usually the second take is better. Like right here, I can tell just by the waveform that this is 2 takes of the same thing. So I'm not even going to bother to listen to the first one, save myself time. So usually I just scrub through, and then I just take it here and delete it. Of course, I'm editing with one hand right now, but still.
And there's fish that flop.
Usually once I have the voiceover cut, I'll start to adjust all the parts where I'm like, shouting, like, I want to keep the audio levels consistent. So I'm going to bring it up here when I'm like talking softly, and then when a part comes where I'm like shouting, then I'll bring the volume down, and then here I'm kind of like in between, so I'll like bring it up maybe there, and and that's how it goes. So after I have the voiceover parts all edited, now I'm editing the visual portion. So I'm laying down all the game clips on top of the voiceover to match what I'm talking about. So I'll cut it to the rhythm of my voice so that everything matches up. Let's see what I'm talking about here.
There's a puppy dog that's helping her attack evil stockings or something.
Okay, so there's a part where like a dog's attacking like a piece of clothing or something. So I could scrub through this footage. Where is that part? Where is that? This could be like, say this was a normal situation where I'd have like maybe 2 hours of game footage and maybe even more, like those Zelda CDI videos, like each one of those was 7 hours each. So, it could take a while to find that part again. So that's why the time codes come in handy. So I'll bring up my time codes, and here we go. 1520, I have the dog ate the stocking or whatever. So now I'll go to 1520. Okay, somewhere around here. And there we go. Now, say I make a reference to another game, like I need a clip from, like, just for example, like, say, Terminator, then if I know I already have footage of the Terminator game, or whatever it is I'm looking for, then I'll bring up this list I have here, and this is my archives. This is all the game footage I have recorded. Just goes on and on and on. So this could take forever to find it, so I'll just do a search like this. I'll do Terminator, and there we go. There's my Terminator clips. How do I find it? 559. So these are my archives, these big-ass books full of DVDs. So I got the book and page number, book 5 and page 59. And there it is. Like I said, I record every game I play, and it always comes in handy later. Like say I want to show the ending of Super Metroid, that could take a long time to play, but I already have it recorded. In the old days, I used to record on VHS, till I started taking this more serious. If I want to take a clip from a previous Nerd episode, like Simon's Quest for the 9 millionth time, I can go on one of my hard drives, and here I have instant access to all Nerd episodes. And if I really need some old raw footage, I always have my old mini DV tapes. So once you have all the clips where they're supposed to go, now we start the sound editing. So this is basically where we try to even out the game music with the voiceover so that everything sounds balanced. Like if you listen to it right now,
All fountains that shoot water off her dress. And there's fish that...
see, it's like, you know, the music is too loud, so I'm going to bring it down. And basically what I'm going to do here, a part where like I'm not speaking, if there's like a little pause, I will bring the music up so that, you know, the music will kind of like ramp up as I pause. So something like this.
And there's fish that flop all over. This is...
And I'm going to do that to the whole, you know, thing. I'm going to even out everything. One thing that gets really tricky about sound editing is trying to keep the music sounding like smooth. Like if you take a game like Super Pitfall and you hear the music, it's awful. It repeats all the time, but you get that melody in your head, and it actually sounds worse when it's edited because then it's all chopped up. Sounds something like this. So, you know, it's a little disorienting to the ears, especially if it's a game with a very recognizable tune like Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and you got all those Michael Jackson songs. It's like, you know, it just doesn't sound right when it's been edited. So what I do in these situations is I try to look for the parts that I don't really care much about. Like maybe this part, there isn't really any key sound effect there. There's no reason I need that, so I'll get rid of that. And then I'll stretch this part out, you know, to fill it up. And then, you know, I might end up using like some cross dissolves and like smooth it out a bit. So it's basically like one big tricky puzzle just to make, you know, make the sound as good as it can be. Now the best solution to this, which is way more time consuming than it's worth, is actually to go back to the beginning of the game, record like one like constant music loop without any sound effects in it, and then record all the sound effects clean. Like sometimes in the beginning of a game there's like a sound test and you can get all the sound effects, and then basically go back to all your edits and just lay down one constant music track that loops and then put all the sound effects back in. It solves the problem, but it is very time consuming, and fortunately I have not done that very often. Now just to give you an idea how complicated these projects can get sometimes, this is the old timeline from the Super Mario Bros. 3 video where Super Mecha Death Christ is fighting the devil. You can see there's tons and tons of sound effects going on here, lots and lots of visual effects, you know, and it's not really the best example unless I was actually working on it right now, because these clips aren't connected anymore. Because it's an old project. But I will tell you a little bit about the visual effects. With effects, sometimes I'll use After Effects or a program like that, but usually everything I do is just Photoshop and Final Cut. Like I do all the graphics in Photoshop and then I do all the animation in Final Cut. It's as simple as that. That's the simplest solution because these are, you know, quick web videos and I got to get them out really fast. One time Mike and I were at a bar. We were talking to Dave Willis from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He's the voice of Meatwad and Carl. And we were asking him about effects, and he said, just do it in Photoshop. and that's something I've lived by ever since. Photoshop is like duct tape. It fixes everything. A lot of times when I shoot videos, I make mistakes. In the Rob episode, for example, I accidentally left the gyros on Rob, but this was before I'm supposed to have the gyros. So I actually had to Photoshop them out frame by frame. I have to decide if it's worth reshooting or not, and usually it's quicker to just do it in Photoshop. Sometimes there's a script in the shot or a boom mic. Parts like these, I don't even have to use Photoshop. I can do it all in Final Cut just by taking a part of the video that doesn't have it and then lay it on top of the footage. It's seamless and you never notice. Color correction is something that I also gotta do. Even though this is less cinematic than a movie, still I gotta adjust the colors. The original Silver Surfer video was an example of me forgetting to color correct. The whole video had an orange tone. After everything's done, it's still not done. It's never done when I think it is, because I'll always notice some kind of mistake at the last minute. So usually when I finish these videos, I like to give it some time, go do something else, come back with a fresh mind and look at it. I show it to friends. Usually the first person to see it is Mike, and usually somebody will catch some mistake I made. Like the funniest one I can think of is in the Street Fighter 2010 video. I was describing the final boss, and I said he looked like Grimace from Sesame Street. Grimace is not from Sesame Street, he's from McDonald's, so luckily somebody caught that. But other things that I have to fix are more technical, like sometimes when I'm looking at the game footage in Final Cut, something will actually look different once the video has been finalized and compressed. Like, for example, in the Double Dragon 3 video, there was a part where I was talking about how when there's lots of enemies on the screen, they all flicker. But in the final video, they didn't look that way anymore. So it's strange. And like the Castlevania videos, I remember when the character goes into that post-hit invincibility, you know, when they're flickering, it didn't show up that way. Instead, the character was like invisible and you couldn't even see what was going on. So things like that just look different. There's one where I was talking about a glitch in the game where you can only see the character's head. It was just this like disembodied head. In the final video, you saw the whole body. So it's just something you can't predict. It has to do with like changes in the frame rate or the field dominance or something like that that I can't always pinpoint. So in these situations, I usually just cut those parts. So in a nutshell, that's how a nerd video is made. How long does the whole process take? Well, it depends on the video, depends on the game, depends on the level of production. I'd say on average, probably 30 to 40 hours for one video. I always keep an hourly log of every video I do just to see how fast I can do. You know, because for me it's kind of like a game, see if I could beat my record. The Dragon's Lair video, for example, was one of the shorter ones. That one took only 16 hours. The Rob the Robot video, now that one took 122.5 hours. While I was editing the effects for the Rob video, while I was animating all those lasers and shit, I had time to actually listen to every one of these Iron Maiden CDs, plus the live albums. That's how long it took. I'm always listening to music when I edit, unless it's involving voiceover or any kind of audio. Music is the only thing that keeps me sane. Well, that's pretty much it. The hardest thing about making the videos is just finding time to make them, trying to balance them with my personal life, because I have so much other crap going on. It's hard not to be distracted by other things all the time. Like, say the video takes 40 hours to make, I might only get 3 hours a day to work on it. So there's no easy shortcuts. It's a time-consuming procedure, but it's nice to know that so many people are watching. So thank you for making it worthwhile. I know there's a lot of other questions that, you know, I could address, so if you have any other questions, just leave them on my site in the comment section on Cinemasker.com underneath the video, and maybe I'll do another Q&A of some form later and address some of them. So thanks, and let's check out the Barbie video. No degeneracy is low enough to satisfy the shit-seeking gamer who decides to play Barbie on NES. Whew. We know that most NES games were targeted towards young boys, so here's one for the girls. As an adult male, why would I ever want to play this?
Because I'm pathetic and I'm asking for hell.
It starts with the most casual intro for any game I've ever seen. Barbie's reading a book about mermaids. Then she talks about going to bed and actually begins listing all the things she's going to do the next day. Swimming at the beach, having lunch, shopping at the mall, and meeting Ken at a party. Sounds like an exciting game already. Then she goes to sleep and the game begins. I wonder if this is supposed to be a real human Barbie or a plastic doll Barbie. From the way she moves, I'd say she's a plastic doll. So the game is actually her dream, in case you ever wanted to know what Barbie dreams about. She dreams about a nursery that's been overtaken by a poltergeist. Tennis rackets are hitting balls all over the place. There's clothing flying around. She has to fight the invisible woman. There's a puppy dog that's helping her attack evil stockings or something. Toucan Sam gives her a lift. I wonder if there's any psychological meaning behind these dreams. Barbie's really fucked up in the head. Even the craziest psychopaths on Earth don't dream this shit. The wallpaper's covered in roses, teddy bears, and baseballs. Guess you can say this game is balls to the wall. I can't help but notice how many balls are in the game. They're everywhere. Perhaps the meaning behind this is because she's obsessed with Ken's balls. The first boss battle is like you're fighting a window shutter or a laundry chute that causes earthquakes and shoots beach balls. What the hell is going on? What's stranger is how you beat the boss. You have to select the double arrow and throw your thingamajig at the cat, which causes the cat to attack the laundry chute or whatever it is. Then there's a part where you have to walk through a never-ending mall of fountains that shoot water up her dress, and there's fish that flop all over. This is one of those parts where you have to get the pattern down. It takes time and patience, but it never fucking ends. Ugh, this is actually way more difficult than I thought. Ugh. Ugh.
I just got my ass handed to me by a Barbie game. This game was made for little girls, and I can't even get past the first few stages. Fuck this game. Fucking Barbie, you plastic pink mall shopping, bimbo ball craving, bird riding, ghost fighting, fish flopping, psycho dreaming, harebrained piece of shit. Go to hell.
Time for the AVGN theme intro again. Nah, screw it. Boom, let's just blow it up. And then every title card flashes before your eyes before the 100th, which this is the 100th episode and Mike's final title card for the series, because none of us knew it would go past 100 episodes. The music in this episode was fantastic. There are two guys doing the score. One was Lachlan Barkley, who does a lot of video game covers and stuff, and really rocks him out. Sounds really awesome. And then the other guy, John Jennings Boyd, worked on a feature film called Book of Caleb. So that's how I knew him. And a lot of the music you hear in this was from that film.
This game sucked too.
Well, even though this is the 100th episode, it was kind of debatable. Like the Ninja Turtles 3 movie review was counted as 2 only because it was a two-parter, which was only because it couldn't fit on YouTube as a whole. So there were things like that you could debate. But either way, we treated this like it was the 100th because it was about time to do something special.
We're better in the fucking medieval times.
This very much could have been a final episode if I were to do one. I would have never known I would have been doing more than 100. So I was amazed to have made it this far. So I figured this would start out as like the culmination of all the nerd's efforts. Every game he ever hated, every piece of shit that he's surrounded himself with and devoted his life to, he's just had enough at this point. Has the creator had enough?
I don't like them.
Well, sometimes I feel that way because it's such a big sacrifice, and the toll that all these videos have taken on my life is just, I can't even explain. But like the nerd finds out at the end of this video that it's something, all these bad games is something he can't live without. Just like the nerd is such a big part of my life. It's something that I could never give up.
Let's try it out.
I love it. Gyromite is a really fun game,
Robot Gyro.
but it's meant to be 2 players, so you have to have a buddy to control those pipes, to move the pipes out of your way. So it's a co-op experience. But the other option is to use the robotic operating buddy, or Rob the Robot. These are my favorite parts in the nerd episodes, where the nerd is not speaking, where everything he needs to communicate is done through the cinematics of the video. What I'm trying to do here is recreate the experience of trying to play the game for the first time.
Oh, okay, I get it. This is like some kind of two-player co-op mode. Okay. Well,
Think about how less interesting the video would be if the nerd just explained it all flat out. Then it would just be a game review and you would lose all those precious moments of discovery.
It is a two-player game. The first player controls
So the only way to play this game by yourself is to use the robot. And it's kind of a creepy concept to have an artificial life form sitting right next to you playing the game. So the idea of the robot being alive is a really ripe concept with a lot of potential, and I think that's why a lot of game reviewers have already done the whole, Rob is alive thing, because it's the first thing that comes to your mind. So I'm aware that it had been done many, many times before. The one that sticks out in my mind the most is by Awesome Video Games. They did a really hilarious take on the whole Rob thing. I knew my take would be different, but I also knew that I had to do a really good job on it, and the longer I held out on making this episode, the more pressure there was to make it really good. I had the Rob episode planned since the first year on YouTube when I was doing the Power Glove episode. It seemed logical that the next video would be another accessory. It would be Rob the Robot. But then I had all these ideas for it, and I decided I didn't want to do it unless I did it really good. And when I was doing 2 episodes a month, there wasn't time. I just didn't have enough time to make it as special as I wanted. And then when the idea of the 100th episode was coming up, I figured, hey, that'll be a good one to save it for. I'm going to tell you about a little mistake here. Right now, Rob is not supposed to have the spinning gyro tops yet. And if you look right about where my right hand is, you can see I photoshopped something out. That was one of the gyros because he wasn't supposed to have them yet. In fact, right now the nerd's going over to get the gyros out of the drawer. So I fucked up, and rather than refilm, I decided to just fix it in post-production. Let me tell you, getting Rob the Robot to work, getting them all set up, is just like putting together some kind of crazy science project. It's no wonder why Rob the Robot didn't catch on and become a popular accessory, but I found it really fun to play, believe it or not, even though the video has to present it in kind of a negative tone because it's the nerd. Really, it makes you think about the game in a way that you normally wouldn't. It gives you a whole new challenge. It's just a completely different kind of way of playing the game.
Affirmative your ass, let's play.
What you're about to see here is kind of interesting. I'm showing you how long it takes for Rob to actually do something, and it's pretty accurate. So I'm trying to move that first pipe right now, and I'm recording the game footage at the same time I'm shooting Rob with the camera. So what you're seeing here is sort of a live multicam edit. Although the one with me in it on the bottom left there, that was a reenactment, so that wasn't the actual gameplay. But a lot of the close-ups where you see Rob, he actually is playing the game, and that's the same game footage that you're seeing on screen, like right here. So he drops the top,
Finally.
and that brings the pipe down, and then only to have a smick come and kill you.
No! The object
I kind of like what I did here with
Hector
using the
somehow got
TV
himself
as a border to frame this shot,
dinosaurs.
because I held off for a long time shooting any of these videos in the 16:9 widescreen format because
If you touch them, you die.
I didn't really see the point of it, because the games are all in 4:3. They're all square, just like an old TV. So I never really saw the point of going to 16:9, but eventually I gave in and I started doing it. And I'm glad I did, because it really helps with all the cinematic shots. Not to go off on a little, technical tangent right now, but this video was still in standard definition. I did not make the move to HD yet, because that was another thing I was holding off on for a while, because you know, I wanted to get a camera that was really good. I'm glad I did. I eventually got the Panasonic AF100, but right now what I was using was the HVX, and I actually made a mistake. I thought the HVX could shoot HD on the mini DV tapes, but it only shoots HD on the cards, and the cards were kind of expensive. They were P2 cards. They weren't the same as the you know, the SD cards, and it just wasn't what I expected. So I continued to shoot these videos in standard definition, thinking that, you know, they're on the web, so what does it matter? But everybody was shooting HD, so
Trust me.
it would have been nice for the DVD, but you know, at least the 100th episode jumped to 16:9, so it made it, it's just a little detail that made it a little something extra special. This was the most time spent on making a single nerd episode. This was the most work I ever put into one of all time. The only episode that came close, very close, was Crazy Castle. According to my hourly logs, the Crazy Castle episode took me 122 hours and 15 minutes. The Rob episode, 122 hours and 30 minutes. So 15 minutes longer. The Crazy Castle episode was a totally different kind of experience because with that episode I had people helping me. And that's why that episode had some funny outtakes, and there was another camera we had shooting some behind the scenes footage. So there was really a lot more bonus features for the Crazy Castle episode for that reason. But for the Rob episode, since I was doing it all by myself, there wasn't really that many outtakes or any kind of, you know, behind the scenes footage. So I wish there was more documentation of the whole process of making this video, but there really isn't. And there isn't too much to explain either. It's pretty straightforward that what you see is what you get. But also on this DVD, be sure to check out the behind the scenes footage I have of this episode that shows some of the green screens and how some of the effects were done. And I do a commentary on that too, so check that out. So Rob moving his head there was all stop motion.
Negative.
And yes, to get his arms to move here, Rob had to be facing the TV so I could actually control him the same way you would in the game. But I explained that also in the other video.
How about Double Dragon 2 or Dr. Mario?
Rob also embodies the friend that you have who always wants to come over and play the same games.
Come on, Rob, you come
Because
over,
Rob could only work with Gyromite and Stack Up.
I got this whole shelf, both
It's
sides.
understandable because can you imagine playing Double Dragon with Rob or something? It wouldn't work with most games. So it really is a special kind of game that you would ever want to do this with. And I said it was fun before, and you know, you can see here how frustrating it is, but the frustration actually is the fun, because to get Rob to work, you know, like right there, there might be another gyro in the way, and then another pipe will come up. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. One of the gyros might stop spinning, so it'll fall off. There's a lot of thinking that's involved to get it to work, so it's just an added layer of challenge. When you're playing Stack Up, right there, that's the easiest mistake to make. And the gyros, if you don't keep them spinning, they're just going to fall off. So you always have to move them onto the rotator.
Yeah, let's see how you like it.
I always thought it would be funny if you could switch places with Rob. Imagine if he was doing the first player and you were doing the Rob the Robot part. So I always thought that was a funny idea. And this dancing bit brings to mind the episode of Awesome Video Games I was talking about where they do the Rob dance. That had me laughing so hard I almost pissed myself.
The hell with Rob. I'm playing by myself.
Can you play by yourself with Rob? That was the whole experiment here. Technically you could if you just use both controllers. And this foot bit here, this is probably the best way to do it.
Better yet.
If you don't want to use Rob the Robot and also don't have another friend to play with there. These are the parts I really laugh at because the nerd is just such a goofball to build a Gyromite controller, and that he wouldn't even try to make it look nice. It's just trying to make it functional. Oh, right there is kind of tough because you can't cut the circuit boards in half. So he could have just duct taped the controllers together. It would have worked just as much. But it's such a sloppy job, and that's why I love this part.
I got a better idea. How about play a different fucking game?
So the whole idea behind the video was that Rob was going to turn every game in the world into Gyromite and Stack Up, because that's the only two games that work with him. I only own one copy of Gyromite and one copy of Stack Up, so this was all a Photoshop job right here to clone them and make it look like every game in my collection was being transformed. Rob's jumping around on strings there.
You're doing this, you cybernetic shit sucker.
Very difficult. All the lightning and all the electricity or whatever is all frame by frame in Photoshop. All the controllers are on strings. These are all old tricks. Like right there, I have the controllers in reverse. So they were actually being pulled off me. Just like in the Nightmare on Elm Street episode, I did the same thing. So there wasn't really anything too difficult here. It was just time consuming. This whole sequence here, it's pretty crazy to think that I didn't even have a camera operator. I was doing this all by myself. All those POV shots and everything. It was just me lying on the floor with the camera. Sometimes I was holding it and sometimes it was on the tripod. All those boxes of Stack Up there, if that was real, that would be pretty impressive, because Stack Up is a pretty rare game to get it in the box with all the parts in it.
Prime objective complete. No more inferior games.
So this is where the plot thickens.
No more annoying.
Rob explains that he's kind of like a bad game Terminator. He terminates bad games and makes them all Gyromite and Stack Up, because that's his idea of a perfect game for, you know, whatever reason. You'd know that if you saw the episode, so I don't even know why I'm telling you it. I even tried to tie it in with the video game Crash of 1983, that Rob considered himself the hero, bringing games back, because he could have been the Nintendo mascot if Rob would have taken off, but it was Mario.
Be quiet. You are a biological unit with
The robot voice was my own voice. I could have gotten someone else to do it, but I figured I would just do it myself, and I put a whole bunch of filters and effects on it to get it to sound like that. And I could have gotten someone else to film this, but with this episode I was just trying to get it done and wanted to work my own hours on it and just finish it as quick as I could, because it took me an entire month to get this all done.
will be terminated.
The time it took to put all those lasers and sound effects in, and this part here, it was all frame by frame in Photoshop, so it just, like, it wasn't anything that special, it wasn't anything that complicated, but it just took a long time to get it done. And that's a hard thing to do when you got to come out with another episode in a month. You know, you can't just keep on working on it until it's finished. You got to have a deadline, you know. If this was to be the final nerd episode, I think it would have been a great way to end, because at this point I felt like after 100 episodes, I felt fulfilled that the videos have served their purpose. But if you would have asked me back when I was working on the Top Gun episode and told me, you know, you're going to do 100 episodes, I would have been like, what? Like, how is that possible? And it was possible because of the support from the fans. So I always kept it going. And this was kind of where I was just about thinking, like, like, what if it would end here? And then, nah, you know, keeping it going.
Won't fucking have it.
So right here, the nerd gets up, and it's kind of funny how the nerd takes a lot of abuse and keeps on going. He's a tough guy, and I would have never thought that because he was like a nerd character, but he's also kind of like a superhero in a way. He's like Rocky. He gets knocked down all the time, but keeps on getting back up. So I took a lot of inspiration from different B movies. Like there's a movie called Gog, which is about these laboratory robots that go berserk. But my biggest thing I wanted to do was like a Japanese monster movie fight, like Ultraman or something like that. I wanted to build a miniature city set and actually have someone in a Rob costume made out of cardboard. So it would have been just like a Godzilla movie, but I didn't have time. There was no way I could have done that in a month, so I had to resort to the cheap green screen. And I didn't have a lot of room for green screen in my basement, so it didn't come out that well. The ending was a little rushed. That was my only regret with this video, is that I think that final battle could have been a lot more epic. Oh, and by the way, right there, Simon's Quest, ending on the first nerd episode, of course. So yeah, other than that, I think the episode came out really well. I think the story was strong, and as of right now, I think it is my best nerd episode ever. This here is meant as a supplement to the commentary on the Rob episode. These are some of the raw clips, just so you can get more of an idea of how a lot of it was done. So I would suggest watching the commentary before watching this video here, or other way around, doesn't matter too much. So these are all the green screen shots of Rob when he's in the city destroying stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. Had him on a fishing line. That's about it. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the shots where all the controllers are coming after me. All the video game consoles are being electrified and coming to life. And again, it's very self-explanatory. Just had a string on the controller. Same thing I did in the Mario 3 episode. Very simple. But hey, I guess it worked, because a lot of people would ask me, how did you do that? And I didn't think much of it. I figured it was a pretty cheap effect, but it must have worked pretty well. So this is where the electricity is going through the wires, so I'm just pulling on them a little. This shot here, this is where everything happens on the TV. So I'd have all these backgrounds loaded up, and I made a DVD to put in the DVD player because, I could comp it all in later, but it's kind of easier when you just have something on the TV to begin with. And I'd have this DVD loaded with all the backgrounds I needed, and whatever I needed, I would just cue it up. This shot here, I was sort of using the TV as a blue screen, which sometimes works, although a lot of light from it got onto Rob. So this is where he jumps into the TV, and now this part here is actually a shot that was already green screened and already, I already did the effects for it, and I just put that on the TV. So it's kind of like working backwards, I guess, or you're kind of going into the post-production phase and then going back into production. For Rob moving, a lot of times I was just sort of puppeteering him with my hands. And then there's the stop motion. You can see here I'm moving his head frame by frame, because Rob can't move his head like that on his own, only his arms. The head is actually for adjusting the robot so that he's looking at the TV. So for the shots where I'm looking around the room and every game in my entire collection is being turned into Gyromite and Stack Up, it was another really easy effect. I basically needed to just photograph one cartridge and then Photoshop it and multiply it to make it look like the whole shelf is full of them. But I moved it around here just to get it in different angles and different lighting, just so that when I go into Photoshop and start multiplying it, I had some different, variations to work with. And there I am, just trying to get it to stand up, and it just kept falling. It was a lot easier with the boxes. So these are all the parts where Rob has to jump. I'd have to do this a lot in the video. So he's on a fishing line string, which would break very often. And, oh, I missed. I'm trying to get him to jump up onto that, platform. And that looked like an okay take, I think. Oh, nope. Still missing it. All right, here we go. Whoa, and he fell again. A lot of tries. Whoa, that wasn't feeling that one. And there, that was a pretty good one. For Rob throwing the Gyromite and stack-up box, I would have to, get him to hold it first of all, which was kind of tough. I would have to get the arms to close down on it, and he would move, and then I would pull it away with the string. Pretty simple. It just took a lot of, a lot of tries, and I'd have to speed it up in the end, and take the string out too. So the string I would sort of like, I would use different masks in Final Cut to get the string out of there. Here's the stack-up box, same exact thing. The stack-up box was harder because it kept falling out. And right there, I'd pull the string. And keep in mind also, Rob has to be looking at the TV in order to control his arms like that. So he's actually looking at the TV when he's supposed to be looking at me, and I'm in a different part of the room. So you don't notice because of the carpets underneath him, so you don't really have a sense of where he is in the room. This is the shot I think everybody liked the most, maybe. A lot of people ask me, how'd you get all those controllers to start going? And all it was 2 broomsticks with strings on them. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but it came out pretty well considering. So here I am just pulling the strings. You can see I'm wearing pajamas there because I'm, doing this all hours of the night. And I don't think I got dressed in regular clothes for a long time. It was like a week filming all this. So it was just like I went into hibernation to get this video done. That's what I always do though. This one especially was really tough. This part was the only part where I needed help. So my wife was actually helping out. She would pull the controllers away, and see, it's under my back there. I'd have to like try to arch my back so there was room. The idea was to pull the controllers away and then reverse the footage so it looks like the controllers are coming after me and wrapping around my arms. I'd also speed it up a lot. This was the same exact technique I did on the Nightmare on Elm Street video many years before, so it's just my old tricks, nothing new. Sometimes we just couldn't get see, my wife's helping me there because I'm laying down and I'm all tangled up in wires and stuff. And a lot of times the controllers just wouldn't come off. You couldn't get them to stay on. And then if you got them to stay on, they wouldn't come off. So you only get one or the other. This one is kind of tough because my arm is up in the air. So it took a lot of tries. There's a lot of takes that aren't usable. But in the end, I got enough to work with. The worst was when it was around my neck, because when she'd pull on it, it was like I was being strangled. And, right there, it's like, oh, come on, come off, and there it goes. So good. Of course, I'd have to act like I'm struggling, too. This part here, I had to act in slow motion. So this is where Rob is hitting me. So he's actually motorized right now, because when you turn him off and turn him on again, his arms will move on their own for a little bit. So, yeah, it's basically just slow motion, just getting hit in the face. Here comes another take. Boom! Alright, let's do another one. Here we go. Boom! That wasn't a good take. Boom. Here it comes, here it comes. This is sort of the POV shot of Rob punching me in the face. And really all it was just me lying on the floor all by myself with a camera. So I'm really doing it to myself here. Now it's time to get messy because here come the blood shots where I'm going to spit the blood. Right there I'm sipping it. It's Kool-Aid and my mouth is full of it. And here we go. Rob's going to hit me and I'm going to spit it out. Here it comes. And it's a lousy take because you didn't see any of it. It all went out of frame. So now I'm going to look at the playback. I'm going to get pissed off and go for another take. And you can't do too many of these because the blood gets on the shirt and it messes up the continuity. So this time you could see that there's a lot of space on the side, so now I have a little more room to work with. See, this would be easier if I had a camera operator or another director to actually tell me if the take was bad. And as you can see, that was a good take right there. So it's really hard doing this kind of thing all by yourself. This is a different kind of blood. This is the kind that's supposed to stay on my face. It's corn syrup, red food dye, and a little drop of blue food dye. For some reason that helps it out. And that looks disgusting. So this is different than the Kool-Aid that I spit out my mouth. And I also have the Kool-Aid in my mouth at the same time. There it is, just came out. And not knowing when enough is enough, I'm still sipping more Kool-Aid. Might as well use it all up. Got my glasses all crooked. And that is it. Rob is fucking me up. This is the green screen of where I'm flying out to fight Rob, like a big Ultraman battle or something out of a Godzilla movie. This part, it didn't come out as great as I hoped. You can see right there my limitations on the green screen. I mean, look at that. That's all the room I have. So I'm looking in the camera constantly trying to make sure that none of my body is going to go outside the green. And even that clamp up there on the top is really annoying me. I just don't have much room to work with. And with green screen, you have to stay far away from the screen because you don't want to get any shadow. And you don't want the same light that's on the screen to be the same light that's doing you. Somehow I hit myself in the chin there. It's going to be some real blood.
How did you do that? It doesn't even reach my chin.
One of the fun things about green screen is that you don't have to move the camera around very much. To get all the different angles you need, you would just, turn your body around. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to be using. Well, I had a pretty good idea, but I wanted to get as many different variations as I could so that I can, have a lot to experiment with when I'm editing. Like that's in case Rob is on my other side. There I'm dodging some lasers, but I'm constantly looking at the camera because I'm trying to, looking at that LCD screen just to see if my hand goes out of frame. I don't even think I used any of that. Did I ever punch Rob? No, I don't think so. So here's the back shot. Actually, it's pretty impressive I managed to stay inside that green as much as I did. So this is one of the last shots I filmed. So that is where the wall gets broken and Rob is behind it destroying the city. That's all it was. I just threw a green screen on it and decided, just figure it out later in Photoshop. And it worked out. Right here, look at those clamps holding the power pad on me. Don't clamp them on your skin, by the way. It hurts. So I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I'm getting the costume ready. And looks like I'm about ready to go. Here I am focusing. So I'd usually zoom in, I'd focus on something and then zoom back out. I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at the LCD screen, trying to see if I'm in focus, and you could see I'm having some trouble because the light is causing a glare, and after you stare at those lights for a really long time, you know, you just start to go blind. So I'm really straining here and totally exhausted. I mean, if you look at my face, I am completely whipped by this point. So I've been filming this thing all week, and you know, I'm trying to get through my head. What am I doing? I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? All right, so Rob's coming in, and I'm going to touch the TV. I'm going to grow huge. The idea being that the TV sends a surge of electricity towards me, that after Rob dove into the TV, now the TV sort of took on some kind of supernatural, like magnetism. So now I touch it and I grow big. So here I get up off the floor, got all my gear ready. I'm ready to go fight Rob. There he is. I'm looking at him. And now I touch the TV, and I'm going to grow big. Takes a lot of imagination. So that's all the main shots, all the most important things. If you have a cat, by the way, cats are very fascinated with Rob the Robot. Earlier, Boo here was going nuts trying to attack the thing, but I was too late with the camera because now he's kind of, starting to get a little bored with it. So there he is. He's like, all right, I'm done with that. Here he comes again. Just sniffing around. He's like an inspector. He just always has to come into the room and see what's going on. Yep, that's Boo. And that's Rob. When you make a DVD, you gotta have outtakes. But unfortunately, I didn't really fuck up much this year. So all the outtakes I'm going to show are from the Star Wars episode because that has some pretty good stuff in it. The first shot that comes to mind is when the buffalo takes a shit through my window. This started as a conversation I had with Mike. We had like a half-hour conversation.
Just like glass is going and like shit is everywhere. And then later on you find out, you're like, oh my god, like what was that? And it ended up being like a fucking buffalo, like who had just somehow leaned its ass against your fucking like wall and just started like having like major explosive like diarrhea. Anyway, alright, sorry.
Okay.
It was just a funny thought.
It was such a hard concept to imagine, and the more we thought about it, the funnier it was. So I decided I had to do it at the end of the nerd episode, the Star Wars one. And you would think that it would have some kind of purpose, that maybe it would be Jabba the Hutt that would take a shit or something like that, but no. The whole point was that it was as random as possible. It didn't have any connection with any of the subject matter in the game review or anything. It was just a completely incidental thing, as if it was an outtake itself. And it couldn't happen when you would expect something like that. It would have to happen when the nerd is deep inside some kind of rant. So right now the nerd is going off on a tangent about all the different Star Wars games that existed, and I start talking about a bunch of games that didn't even exist. So it was just like any kind of gag I ever wanted to make about Star Wars, like talking about how Boba Fett's name is so rare to hear in the movies, even though everyone seems to know his name. And the whole thing with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee both being in the movies, bringing to mind the whole Van Helsing versus Dracula thing. And the word Sith being so close to shit, Count Dooku being like Count Dookie, it's just like a big hurricane of jokes coming at you. And then, bam, the buffalo shits. It took a lot of rehearsal to pull off this whole shot, because first I had to remember the names of all the games I was going to say.
Boba Fett's name game, find his name in the fucking movies. Lego Star Wars Chess, Star Wars Pod Racer, Star Wars Puzzle Blaster, Jar Jar Binks Bingo, Death Star Builder 3.0, Chewie Wookie Cookie Cookin', Jabba's Farts Unleashed. There was Wedge's Wedgie Attack, that was a good one. Fishing for Akbars. Fuck. There was Star Wars Pod Racer, Star Wars Puzzle Blaster, Star Wars Jar Jar Binks Bingo. Super Sith Shit Toss Tournament Edition. There was Boba Fett's name game. Name is fuck.
So I'd have to keep going through it till I got it all down flawlessly, and once I would get to the end of the list, I would have to pretend that a buffalo shat through my window. And how do you pretend that? Like, did you ever have any kind of point of reference? Can you relate to that at all? What would you do if that happened? It would be, how would it happen? How did the buffalo get there? How was its shit so powerful that it broke the window? Would you be more concerned about the glass and shit on your floor, or would you just be so stunned trying to figure out how the hell that happened?
His name in the fucking movies, Governor Tarkin versus Count Dookie. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god, a fucking buffalo just fucking shit through my fucking goddamn window. Oh my fucking god, there's glass and shit all over the fucking place. Oh my god. Where the fuck did that come from? Governor Tarkin versus Count Dookie. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. What was that? A fucking buffalo? A fucking buffalo just took a fucking shit all over my fucking floor. Busted my fucking window. What the fuck? Oh my fucking god. Where did that come from? Oh my Jesus. There's like glass and shit all over the fucking floor. Governor Tarkin versus Count Dookie. Oh my god! Oh my god, a fucking buffalo just took a fucking shit through my fucking window! Oh my god, there's fucking glass and shit all over the place! Oh my god, I have to clean this up now. Where the fuck did that come from? It's a fucking buffalo!
As for the technical stuff, first of all, I had to have the shot framed up right. I didn't like this first one because I have too much headroom, and the window is kind of too obvious. You know that it's in there. I didn't want to draw attention to the window in any way. I didn't want you to be looking at that, so I wanted to keep my face dead center. I like these takes better because the window's in the corner of the frame. Since I was using Photoshop on the window to create the effect, I had to be careful not to walk in front of the window. So any takes where I would walk in front of the window were not usable. I also made sure to get a separate take of the window shades moving. I pulled it on a stick with a string, just to give the illusion of the pressure of the buffalo's fart pushing the window shades. It's funny, when I turn around, that Atari jacket looks so small on me. I don't know why, it didn't feel that small. I guess because the nerd shirt was too large. The other part in the Star Wars episode that was kind of involved was the beer droid. So the droid comes and shoots the beer at me. This part here, I'm pretending that I get hit in the head with the beer. I didn't really feel like having anyone throw a bottle at my head. Just, wasn't feeling it. So instead I did this sort of self act right here. And in the editing, when I put it all together, it would look like the beer hit me in the head. The parts where the droid moves, I was just sitting here talking to the vacuum cleaner, and then I would mask in the rest of the shot, which would be stop motion. I think that kind of helped the illusion a little bit to have stop motion mixed with live action. Not that it's supposed to be that convincing anyway, it's just a joke. The stop motion was pretty self-explanatory. I would just move it frame by frame, and I'd use that same stick with the string to pull it all around. You know the part in Return of the Jedi where R2-D2 shoots the lightsaber out of his head to Luke? Well, I was trying to do that with the beer, and the first problem was that the beer wouldn't fit in the droid the way I expected it to. That hole where the vacuum cleaner pipe was supposed to be, that was where I wanted it to go. It wouldn't go in there, and even on the top it wouldn't work out because the beer wouldn't go all the way in there. So I'd pull it out with the string. It just kept getting stuck.
Oh shit!
And oops, the string broke. Ever since that happened, I've still been finding pieces of that damn bottle in the room. In fact, just last week I found another little sliver of glass, so it never goes away. Then I had an idea. The part where the buffalo shits and breaks the window, wouldn't you hear sounds of the nerd walking on the glass? So I decided, why not use the glass from the beer bottle? So I stepped on it just to get all the sound effects. I didn't use it for whatever reason. It just didn't really work out. But that's what you do. When you make a mistake, turn it into something useful. Some of the DVDs I've been giving tours of the different nerd rooms as a bonus feature. Well, this time I'm going to show you the nerd room from 2006. But even more so, I'm going to tell you a little story of how you changed my life. I get emails all the time telling me how I changed other people's lives by making these videos and providing all this entertainment. Well, you've done the same for me, for all the support you've given me, and I'll explain that more at the end. But anyway, of all the rooms where the nerd episodes were ever filmed, this was a really important one because this is kind of where it started. This was the year when the nerd became a sensation on YouTube. The first episode to be shot here was episode 3, The Karate Kid, and all the way up to episode 17, Bible Games. This room was never actually dedicated to the nerd episodes. It was just another room in my apartment. That room was just kind of a mess. There were beanbags and a hammock, and I was lucky to have a good amount of space in that apartment to even do that kind of thing. The video game collection just started as a corner in that room. I didn't have much of a collection at the time because I sold most of my old games. Some of them I still kept, like if you look in that little kitten bag right there, that's my entire Atari 2600 collection at the time. Those were all the games that I owned since I was a kid. So like I said, it was just a corner originally, just something where after a hard day of work I'd come home and maybe play a little Contra or something. So it was kind of just a little dedicated nostalgia corner. After I did the Karate Kid episode, Mike encouraged me to do a lot more of these videos, and he'd come over and give me some of his old game systems like the Atari 5200 and the 3DO. So a lot of the first consoles and games that I inherited in the collection was all from him. I'd also get some from flea markets and eBay, but I wasn't too big on collecting at the time. I didn't have much money to do so. And I didn't know how big it was going to get. It just started as a corner and then it spread to the rest of the room. There was no organization. As you can see, I didn't even have shelves. I just used boxes and crates. It was a mess, but that added to some of the charm of the early episodes. Now to get to the personal side a bit and what this room means to me looking at it today is how far I've come. This is a DVD, so I figure you want to know the inside story. So the nerd episodes was just something I did for fun. I made them because I wanted to make them, not because I ever thought I'd get paid for them or anything like that. So I was doing the videos for free that entire year. Just knowing that people were being entertained by them was all the reward I needed. But the truth is I was also working a regular full-time job at the time, and it was really hard to be able to do both. I didn't have a lot of spare time, so when I'd come home from work, I'd go straight to work on the nerd episodes, and honestly, I don't even know how I was able to do it. Although I wasn't doing the movie reviews yet or any of the other videos you see on Cinemassacre.com, it was pretty much just the nerd for that year. Whatever other projects I had, I put on hold because I saw the potential in the nerd and I wanted to keep it going as a series. But with the full-time job, it got harder and harder to be able to do that and tend to my personal life, which was kind of falling apart. My girlfriend made a lot of sacrifices to live with me at that apartment. It was very difficult for her. We lived away from our family and our friends, and it was all because of the job I had, which was sucking me dry, which I think most people feel that way about their jobs. But this one in particular caused me a lot of unwarranted stress. Not to get into all the details, but the situation at that place was very bad and I had to quit. Leaving the job meant having to find another place to live, but that's what I did. This is what the place looked like before I moved out, and I do miss that place because it was a nice apartment. But I was broke. Trust me, there was no game collecting going on at that time. I wasn't even thinking about trying to do any more nerd episodes. I was, but getting a job was the first most important thing. I had to work as a freelancer and give up my health insurance. I took different editing jobs and finally was able to start working out some deals to monetize the nerd episodes. Finally, I got myself back on my feet, married my girlfriend, got to keep making nerd episodes, and everything worked out. And that's all thanks to you. Thanks for buying the DVDs, even just for watching the episodes online, for giving me all the games to review, for sending me fan art, fan songs, for all the things you've done. Thanks a lot for getting me through a rough time, for helping me to make improvements in my life and to do what I enjoy doing. Thanks a lot. Hello, this is James, and I'm going to do a commentary here for the whole year of Nerd, which is included on this DVD. Actually, it starts in January 2011, and it goes all the way up to the Schwarzenegger Games episode, which is the summer of 2012. So it's kind of a year and a half in AVGN land. So rather than doing a commentary on just a couple episodes, I figured might as well talk about the year as a whole. So the year started out with Daydreaming Davy. This episode was made right after the huge Christmas special. That Christmas special actually took me like 2 months, the one from the end of 2010 I'm talking about. Luckily I was caught up enough with other videos, but let me tell you, after that Christmas episode, I was not caught up anymore. So Daydreaming Davy had to get done really quickly. And on top of that, the holidays are just a really busy time for me personally. From Christmas until after New Year's. So it was really just a mess, everything I was going through. I was trying to work on the AVGN movie. That was my biggest project coming up. So I was trying to, get storyboards for that done and try and make arrangements to get it filmed. And we went down to 1 Nerd episode a month instead of 2, thinking that would give me more time to focus on the movie, which it did. It helped a little, but still there wasn't enough time. That my life was just getting so complicated. There were so many things I had to deal with, and I didn't have time to devote to these episodes as much. And Daydreaming Davy, I think, is one that really suffered because of it. I don't think it's a total waste. There are some funny moments in it, and I hope you like the episode regardless, but for me, it definitely wasn't one of the best. But the next video, Star Wars, I think was a pretty good one. This one had an overwhelming amount of games, so it was one of those compilation reviews where, oh, I got to review every Star Wars game I can, or at least the ones that I felt were necessary. I could have went on forever, just like I say at the end of the video, because there's so many Star Wars games out there. One of the best parts of this video, I think, is when I'm flipping out over when Darth Vader turns into a scorpion in the Famicom game. The beat a game button part was pretty funny. I really enjoyed that. It was actually an NES Quick Shot accessory. That's what it's called. I was holding it upside down, so it was a real accessory, but of course it doesn't actually beat a game that fast. So it's like here the nerd turns to the dark side almost, because he's going to beat all the games by cheating, and then he decides against it. The droid, the idea of that was just because I had that vacuum cleaner. It was one of those really old vacuum cleaners, and I always thought it was funny. I always wanted to use it in some kind of science fiction movie because it looks just like R2-D2 or something like that. So I made it into a beer droid. Also, the ending of that video was one of the most random ideas I've ever come up with. Then we're up to episode 100, the Rob the Robot episode. This one I did a full commentary on, so you're going to want to check that out. So I'm not going to repeat anything here, but basically, Rob the Robot was the epic video of the year and probably of all time. I think it's probably the best nerd episode. See, before I thought that the AVGN movie would have been the 100th episode. It would have been E.T., but it didn't work out that way. Here I am making the 100th episode, and the movie isn't even close to ready to shoot yet. So I made it Rob instead, and I think that was the best choice, because I think this episode was really the best way to make a nerd movie as far as the episodes were concerned. But for the actual movie, it was going to require a lot of other actors, a lot of locations. It was going to be an entirely different kind of situation. So the question was, how could I do both? Can I do the movie and keep up with the episodes? So I kept trying to keep the episodes coming as fast as they could to try and get like a backlog going. so that I'd have a bunch of them all like in the bag ready to just release them over the months, but I couldn't get the videos done faster than they were coming out. So the next episode, 101, was Spielberg games. So I took on Jaws and Jurassic Park and wanted to fool people into thinking that I'm going to do E.T., but then put it on as a cliffhanger at the end and, reveal for the first time ever that E.T. is going to be the movie. Because the whole story about the video game crash and how all the E.T. cartridges were buried in the desert, it's such a great story, it has to be the Nerd movie. So after all these years of silence, I was finally revealing that's what I was saving E.T. for. So then there was the question, would the movie follow the cliffhanger or would it go back to regular episodes? And it had to go back to regular episodes because the movie just wasn't going to happen that fast. So episode 102 was the making of a Nerd episode. It was actually a documentary with Barbie thrown in at the end. That was sort of the Barbie episode, even though I counted it as an episode number, it really was meant to be just for the documentary. It wasn't supposed to be a standalone episode. That's why it's not included on the DVD with the episodes. It's part of the documentary, bonus features. This was the first time I revealed some of the secrets of the production of how Nerd episodes are made, because there's a lot that goes into them that everyone took for granted, and I finally decided that I think it's time to just tell everybody, how much goes into making these episodes, how involved they are. And do you realize right now I am kind of doing the making of the video? Episode 103 was back to normal episode. This was Kid Cool. It was another episode that was done kind of quickly. There wasn't really a lot of originality in it. It was just another Nerd episode, but it had some funny parts. I liked the part where I was coming up with my own language, kind of how I've learned a lot of gamer lingo over the years that I never heard before, like AI. People call, the characters in the game when they're, what the characters in the game do, like all the enemies coming after you, that's the AI because it's artificially controlled, artificial intelligence, whatever. And there's farming. Farming is like when you're collecting power-ups and you have to keep, like, getting the same power-ups over and over again just to build up, your life bar or whatever. So I was coming up with my own lingo in this, like topside aquatic ass and all this kind of stuff. So that was kind of fun to construct it all into a sentence that I could say at the end. And the Nintendo World Championship episode, this was episode 104. This one just came out of nowhere. It was going to be a simple episode at first, something different, but Pat the NES Punk came up with this idea because he happened to have the very rare Nintendo World Championship carts, and he said, you want to do a video with it? And I said, yeah, let's do that, because when am I ever going to have that chance? So we worked together on this episode, and it was a surprise epic. I didn't know it would come out like this, but this one spent a lot of time on. The editing took a long time. It was a big production, but it was worth it because it was great. And we showed it at PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, and that was great to show it in front of a live audience. Episode 105 was the Halloween special. This was Dark Castle, and this was actually the first episode ever shot in HD besides Bible Games 2. So Dark Castle was the first one I shot on my AF100, which was the camera I was going to use for the Nerd movie. So I held out on getting an HD camera just so I could use it on the movie as well as the episodes, get the most for my money as I can. A lot of the videos from 2011 were shot on the HVX, but that was a mistake I made because I thought the HVX could shoot HD on mini DV tapes, but you have to buy these special P2 cards with it, and I had to get a card reader, and I just kept shooting them in SD instead. But I started shooting them in 16:9. That began with the Star Wars. No. It began with the Rob episode. The whole year of 2011 was a mess. It had videos in 4:3, videos in 16:9, and then videos in HD. So there was all these kinds of formats going on during that year. It only symbolizes how complicated of a year it was for me personally, trying to get the movie kick-started and everything. Bible Games 3 was episode 106, and that was the Christmas special. There's not a whole lot to say about that one. It's just a continuation of the Bible Games theme. And that episode was actually finished before Halloween of that year. So right after Halloween, I was prepping for the film and trying to get that started. And as time-consuming as I believed the film would be, it was probably 100 times more than that. The movie had so many issues and was so complicated to do that it became my whole focus. I moved to California temporarily to shoot it out there, and it definitely was a big sacrifice on my life at the time, but it was my dream, it was what I wanted to do, but there's a lot of price to pay for it, and while I was doing it, I started to itch to do another nerd episode. I really felt like, I didn't know it was going to take that long before the Schwarzenegger Games episode. It was about 7 months with no nerd episode. I never imagined it would take me that long, but by the time I got back home after the movie, after it wrapped, and actually we didn't even get every shot we needed. There's more that I have to film with the movie, but we finished as much as we could out in California, and I'm going to finish up the rest here on the East Coast, which is where I'm at right now at the time of doing this commentary. I'm doing this commentary in the end of September right now, 2012. So the Schwarzenegger Games episode was like the big comeback of the year. So finally, when I did that, I felt relieved to have gotten out another episode, but also I took for granted how long the episodes take. I was like, oh, the movie was so hard, it's going to be easy doing another episode. Then I went to do the episode, and my big hang-up was the writing. It seems like there's just more pressure to make it good, and as I'm writing it, I just think to myself, is this funny? Like, I'm trying to be funny here, and I can't just force it. It takes a long time for all the jokes to come natural. But I try to finish the scripts as quickly as I can, because once the script is done, then you can get started shooting it, and then everything else just kind of rolls naturally. The writing on it took me about 20 hours, and it was like 20 hours that I didn't really have, but I got it written, but it was just a lot of time staring at a blank screen. So the writing continues to be the hardest part, and it's probably even harder now for me than ever to write something that's worth doing, because I want it to be good. I don't want it to be just like a shitty episode, like I don't want people to look at it and be like, oh, he just did that, and didn't really take any time. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time this year, so it's been frustrating to be able to do both episodes and do the movie and do everything else that's going on. But, I do what I can, and that's my commentary for the year. Just a really complicated and hectic year and a half for the nerd, and it will be complicated for a while, but there's more episodes I hope to make. They just might not be as frequent, so there might not be a DVD next year, but maybe there'll be a DVD for something else, and, well, hopefully the movie. So, so thanks for getting the DVD. That's the whole scoop on how everything went, and, thanks a lot.
So what we're doing here is we're just thinking of different things we could do for the bonus feature discs or whatever. I just thought just an interesting idea would just kind of be to talk about just the experience of a little bit of what doing these videos have been like. I know one thing I could say is it's been weird for me. James has been
doing movies his whole life since he was a kid, and I grew up really drawing comics by myself in my room and stuff, and I guess what I'm trying to say was I didn't have much experience being in front of a camera where you've been doing it your whole life almost. So when the time came for, James wanted me to be like in a video, at least for the nerd videos. We had done like a little bit of stuff in college before that, but that was more like, it was just like a weird little college thing. But for the nerd was already popular. Like thousands of people were like looking at online and stuff. And when I was gonna be like in a nerd episode, I was very like nervous about it because I knew like a lot of people were gonna see it, and I didn't really want to be seen because I was very camera shy, and that's why it was like with the Jason Voorhees thing, with wearing the mask and all that. I agreed to do it because for one thing, James needed somebody to do it, to play the role, and since it had a mask on, I was okay with doing it because nobody would see my face, nobody would know who I am. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. But
and very slowly you got into it, because then like your characters would be like masked at first, and then you start playing characters where it was makeup.
Yeah.
And then eventually there was no makeup.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Very slowly people saw your face.
Yeah, I think I was the Lion after that, and it was like I had this outfit on and still I had a lot of makeup on, so you kind of really couldn't tell who I was. But I had a little more dialogue and all that, and the Joker and all that stuff. And gradually it became more and more, and I kind of turned into myself, where now it's just me.
Yeah, in the Bored James videos and everything. Yeah.
And it's weird. Even right now I'm not completely comfortable, I have to say, but like I've gotten a lot more comfortable being in front of a camera. Whereas when I watch James doing these videos, like I'll watch a video that James makes completely on his own. Like just recently he did that SNES versus Genesis video, and he showed it to me, and I watched that, and I watched James, and he's just sitting there talking calmly to the camera and all that, and I'm like, this guy is just so natural on camera, and I just feel like I'm so like nervous, and I'm so aware of the audience watching me. I get real nervous and all that.
Yeah, you know what it is? I mean, like I rehearse it and I say it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, it's like it's scripted and everything. So there's like videos where I'm scripted, and then there's videos like this where there's no script or anything.
Yeah.
So what you hear from me right now is just real, and it's just what it is. But yeah, like
did you ever feel this way at all? Like doing a video, like kind of nervous because like people are gonna see it, or is that just me?
No, it's not just you. But like when I filmed videos when I was like 13, I would do things where I'm talking about monsters and stuff, and I'm on camera, but nobody saw it. It was just it would just be a VHS tape that would sit in my closet, so there was just no harm. But then like as I got a little bit older, when I was like maybe like 15 or something, I started looking back at my older videos and that's actually a long time, by the way, from ages 12 and 13 and then going on to 15. It's all, you go through like a whole change. It felt like that was ages ago. That's a long time for when you're that young. But anyway, I would watch videos of myself when I was 13 or 12 or whenever it was, and I would just be like, oh, this is awful. I hate myself. I hated my voice. I like hated everything. I hated the way my hair looked. I was like, oh, my hair is like messy, and like my there's like a gap between my teeth, and I'm like, I just hated every little detail about myself, and I would just be like, I'm never watching this again. And then I started looking back at it way after that and be like, oh, this is cool that I was doing stuff when I was young, And now when I do stuff as the nerd, it's like refined, where now I know what I like. I won't post anything until like I'm happy with it. Like I'll do take after take after take, and I use the part that worked best. So knowing that I get a chance to edit it and give it to the audience the way I want them to see it. Right. So you get to make the choices and cut what you don't like and everything. And
I've kind of had to learn as I've gone on here, like kind of on my feet, because James went to LA to kind of shoot this movie, and during that time I was trying to put some videos on the site of my own just to kind of have some videos going while James was away, because he was too busy to kind of make videos for a little while there because he was trying to shoot a movie. So I was doing a few videos on my own there, and I kind of had to learn like some of this, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't post this like online because it's really not like refined enough yet.
Like the way it came
like
out
a couple of the videos I did like during that period, I was like, maybe I really shouldn't have released
So there are
this
ones
online.
that like I didn't even see.
Yeah, no, you've seen everything.
Oh, okay.
I showed you everything, but like a couple of them I didn't really like care for.
Oh, yeah.
But like anyway, but other ones I did like. But it's like, and it's always that like artist thing of like looking at your own work and seeing something that somebody else doesn't
Yeah.
see or whatever. In fact, Kyle Justin was here today and we were watching. I was showing him the Ninja Gaiden episode that Kevin was in, and we were laughing the whole time. But when the episode first came on, I saw the title card that I did for that episode, and I hate that title card because it's just like this blue background and it's just like an image. Or whatever. I guess it's the nerd holding the bow or something. It's just like I feel like I could have done a much better job. Like I could have drawn you like or the nerd fighting like this. I could have done something a lot better for that. And the thing is that episode is I think that episode is I had really nothing to do with that too much. Well, we beat Ninja Gaiden 2 together, but really that was mostly you and Kevin. And you guys did such a good job, and it was so funny and stuff. And then I look at my title card, and I'm like, great, I did a great contribution for that, you know? So, I don't know. That's the kind of thing, like, that happens sometimes. But then other times I look at it, and I'm like, oh, I did a good job there. Like, when you did the Castlevania 4-part series, like, I think those title cards, I think I did a great job on those.
Yeah.
So now I'm just talking about, like, what I think about my own work. And I know you're like that, too, because... and it shows it in episode 94, I think.
Which one was
the
that?
Revisited episode.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
talking about the Ninja Turtle review.
I wasn't happy with some of them.
Yeah, like see, when I always saw the Ninja Turtle review, I just thought, wow, this is a funny episode.
Yeah.
But then you see James looking at the Ninja Turtle episode, and he sees it in a different way than everybody else. He looks at it and he's like, oh, I repeated a sentence that I said like kind of twice in a row, and he's looking at it like because he's the guy that made it, you know? So he's looking at it, oh, I made a mistake here, and we're all just looking at it like, oh, this is funny, you know? So
Yeah. I'll look back at other videos, like especially when I'm making the DVD, I have to watch all of them from the past year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap, I gotta watch this one again or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, actually this one's pretty funny. I like what I did here.
Yeah.
You know, so it goes both ways.
I think it must be hard for you as the guy in the videos to see it the way other people see it, you know. And other times, you know, people ask like this a lot, and I guess at this point, what is this, like the 10th DVD we've done? And time they like
6,
clear the air a little bit. Like people have asked a lot about like my involvement and all that, and it's just like some episodes, like we play the game down here or whatever, and I help out.
Yeah.
Like some of the episodes I've helped out a lot, and other ones I haven't. Like I think the Zelda timeline episode I helped out, and I've always been like really familiar with Zelda since I'm a kid and stuff. I know a lot about Zelda.
You helped me beat Zelda 2 because I got stuck in the game.
Yeah, so some of them I help out quite a bit with, and then other ones I have nothing to do with. There you go. If you people that wanted to know that, so some of the episodes I help out on, some of them I don't.
It's in the I think you're in the research department if you're gonna pick something, I guess.
Because people are always like, what does this guy do? Who is this Mike Matei guy? What is he? You know, like who is this guy? Who does he think he is? You know.
We did the title cards for a while.
Well, everybody knows I did the title cards and all that. So. When you first started the Nerd, you made the first couple episodes or whatever, and you had it on the site, and then did the Roger Rabbit episode, and then when it went on onto YouTube, a lot of people started watching it. And I remember, I think that first day we put those episodes up, or the first week or whatever. I remember looking at it specifically and seeing one of the videos, whatever it was, had 16,000 views on it, and at that time it was like. That was mind-blowing for 16,000 people have watched one video. And I remember you've said before that you didn't even believe those numbers. That's that many people. And I mean, obviously now you believe it. But what was it like for you? When did you make the decision that you were going to keep kind of making episodes? Because the thing I'm trying to say really is James... really his goal was really to be a filmmaker and to make things like horror movies and this type of thing, because in college you had made the Jersey Odysseys, which was like a Twilight Zone type of thing, and James really wanted to get into filmmaking and make like a science fiction movie or a horror movie or a comedy or whatever, like a film though, something with actors. And then he did this one-off like game review thing, and then that kind of turned into something. It's like your life kind of skewed in a different direction, and then when it started to get popular, were you kind of conscious of like, okay, my life's kind of going in another direction here, and like, but do you know what I'm trying to say? And like, and when did you make the decision, like, okay, for a little while, like, I'm gonna just do this for a little while and just make these videos and see what comes of it?
Yeah.
Like when you first started to see it become popular, like what was that like? And you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it's still a blast. Like, it's something really important to me to have that, to like be able to entertain people, because I think that was really the biggest part of the goal all along. And it's stopped a lot of my films or put them on halt. I'm still trying to make stuff, but it's just taking a lot longer. But it was kind of like I guess you could say it was a detour, but it was a good detour because
I feel like a lot of your fans that watch The Nerd don't really know, like I think a lot of people think like The Nerd is like the thing that you want to do, and that's like it, and that's like your main goal. And I know like you like to do The Nerd, but it's not your only thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know that everybody really understands that it's not the only thing you want to do. You want to make all. See, that's what the thing that created The Nerd is, the fact that you're a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And you like to do all kinds of movies. See, James. When I first met James, one of the first things he did was bring over a pile of VHS tapes and show me all these fucking crazy movies he did. He did this one about like somebody jumping in a pool, like that pool one you did with Kevin or whatever, and like this one called Death Puppy with like this killer dog, and like all these different crazy movies.
And that still doesn't even represent what I'm trying to do, because like
I know.
was like if I were to make that same movie today, it would be so much better. But that goes back to us talking about when you look at your own work and you're like, that sucks.
But the point of it, my point though, is that you were making all sorts of different things, and when you did the Castlevania thing, that was just like Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, that was just like one thing you did out of a billion different things you were doing.
Yeah.
And then it became like almost the only thing you were doing was just these game reviews, when it used to be you were making all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. So my point is to let kind of the audience know that James is capable of doing a lot of things, and he's more than just this one character, But yeah, I guess that's basically what I wanted to say.
Right.
So,
okay.
And I guess the one other thing, we mentioned the YouTube channel and all that. Just the James Nintendo Nerd YouTube channel. I just want to clear the air on this. So yeah, he had made the 3 episodes: Simon's Quest, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Karate Kid, and then he showed me the Karate Kid episode. I thought it was hilarious. I wanted you to make another one because I thought it was so funny. I thought it was one of the funniest things you had done. So I was like, do another one, and then you're like, all right. And you did the Roger Rabbit episode, and at that point, YouTube came along, and then we decided, let's put these thing on this YouTube thing, whatever this YouTube thing is. And I think we just typed in real quick, like, James, Nintendo Nerd, whatever, because we didn't know. Like, we'd be sitting here 6 years later still talking about this damn thing, and there'd be a movie and, like, all this stuff. Yeah. We had no idea. Had I known, I probably would have wrote Cinemassacre Productions, because that would have made more sense. Cause
or
Cinemassacre,
Angry Video Game Nerd,
or Angry Video Game Nerd, or something like...
Yeah.
Something that made more sense. So
James Nintendo Nerd.
Yeah, so when there's all this confusion of, why is James uploading a video of it's bullshit on the Nerd channel? Like, why?
Because there was there is a Cinemassacre YouTube channel, but I just kind of abandoned it for a while. Like, I still post things on it here and there, but it's just like
once in a while.
Yeah, it's like if you have one channel that everybody's looking at, just post everything on one channel. It's kind of hard to manage 2 channels.
Yeah.
And like,
YouTube doesn't allow you to change the name or anything either, so it's just like,
But you know what's funny is that even to this day, Mike is always showing me new like social networking things. So I think really like when MySpace was popular, like I remember you used to use that.
Yeah.
But you used to just use that for fun, before you even
Well,
made like
I had like a MySpace account or whatever.
yeah, like you
Most
used to-
people, a lot of people did. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was huge. It was
Yeah.
popular, and like
I just thought of it as like, I guess I saw like, this is like a thing that I thought a lot of people could relate to it, because I thought like, oh, so many kids grew up with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like it was a way to help you get popular with this stuff, to help you,
Yeah.
you know. So I
And
made
the
this
whole,
with the MySpace and all this stuff, and the social networking thing has always been an important part of the
Yeah.
nerd, and getting it
and
out
that's
there.
that's really like, if anyone asks what he has to do with things, really like another big part is the social networking, because I didn't really know what YouTube was, or really MySpace. I never even really used MySpace personally that much. So you do the MySpace, the
Yeah.
Facebook, and the only thing I'm really kind of doing right now on my own at the time, I'm using the Twitter a little more often. Like I'm kind of doing that myself.
Yeah.
But you're always the one showing me these new things. Like
Yeah.
even right now, you're talking about this Instagram thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So I
haven't even told you about like the Tumblr thing yet.
yeah,
so
I don't
that's
even know
another-
what that. He's
Yeah.
gonna tell me this Tumblr thing.
Yeah.
So really, you're always finding the like, because I'm a kind of person that's just the way I am. Is that I think because I have a website, all I do is the website, and I just I don't pay attention to a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like an old granddaddy. Like I'm just not very tech savvy. I don't really know.
Once
a
you
lot
learn
about
it, you know how to use it though. But you don't. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think you really search out the new things. I gotta like kind of tell you about
Yeah.
it, and that's the way it's kind of been. And it's just James. I think you would like to see as many people. If you make a video, wouldn't you like as many people to see it as possible?
Yeah, and
You know?
I think that's what it completed for me. Like
And that's what I'm
maybe-
trying to do for him.
And maybe just to sum things up, like I think my whole life I always felt like that was an empty spot to me, because I would make movies and it's like, well, who do you get to show them to? And I'd send them to film festivals and stuff, and you never know what they're looking for at film festivals, so it's like, my films would never get in, and I always felt like I need to get my movies shown, and that's always like the big thing. And I think, and this was really like, where it all like came together for me. So really it's unbelievable even to think that this is going on a DVD, and that people are going to have this DVD and they're going to watch it.
Right.
So thank you for getting the DVD, because that completes a part of me. That it means a lot to be able to entertain people. I think that's my goal in life. So if you're entertained, then I've succeeded.